Good morning, class. Good morning, Mr. Alrighty. So can we hear? Can we hear what I'm saying? Everything okay? Can we see the whiteboard? All good? Coffee's in hand. Do I have your attention? Yep. Yes. Okay, we're good. We're good. Sorry, I'm just stalling because I forgot the first thing I was going to say because, little hint, I did not prepare. I did prepare, but I did not plan a script for this because I was writing it last night and I just thought, nah, it's everything we go through anyway. It's everything we talk about every single day. So today, it seemed like the overruling amount of you wanted to learn more about motivation and about how we can really use it to our advantage. You know, it's very easy to have the motivation and have it slip out between our fingers. And you know, it's there one moment, gone the next. It's up and down, up and down. So today I want to share with you guys how we can create consistency with our goals. Consistency with our actions, thoughts, feelings, behaviors. And making sure that when we set a target, we hit it. Rather than going through that roller coaster over and over again. And we're not just talking about fitness. You guys probably see this happen in many areas of your life. Work, relationships, your family. You know, these trends could be happening across the board. This session here was primarily designed to give an opportunity to teach you guys some of the stuff that we want you to carry through your transformation journeys. As many of you know, and as many of you are knowing right now that have just signed up, it's a lot of information at the start. It's a big change. You know, we sometimes use the analogy, it's like taking a freshwater fish and chucking it in a saltwater pool. You know, that lifestyle change, it can be a little bit harsh and it can take a bit of work. So today I'm hoping that each of you can elevate your understandings of exercise, elevate your comfort with food, but also elevate your mindset so that the next 12 weeks, 16 weeks, 6 months, year, next 10 years, you guys have a higher chance of succeeding at exactly what it is that you guys want to achieve. All right, we good? Awesome, guys. Very cool, very cool. So I just want to start off first by explaining how Zone found its approach to goals and why we believe that we set the standards that we do and that we get the results that we do is because of the focus that we put on our goals. Now, all of you may remember, because it seems like majority of most people in society, when they want to achieve a fitness goal, they think about the body, what needs to be done physically. How we need to look is going to be representative of how we feel. Yeah, it's the mindset. That's what we're conditioned to think. But where Zone's approach starts is up here. Because if you think of your body as a ship, the vessel, your mind is the captain. It's the one that makes the decisions. It's the one that tells you, or it gives you permission to eat that food, to skip that training session, to sleep in, whatever those things may be. You're giving yourself permission to do that. It's the captain. And the vessel will just take its orders. But then it's also an opportunity to get in touch with the engine, the heart, where it's all coming from. This is the black and white, this is the gray. We want to make sure our body, our mind, and our spirit is all together, moving in one direction. We don't want to leave anything behind. And for those of you that have been doing this work for a while, you guys know that the physical side of this transformation, it's easy, super easy. It's basic movements, basic physics, and it's consistency. That's training. Okay? It might get a little bit more complicated when you want to start throwing some lead around and lifting heavier or increasing your sprint or whatever those goals may be. But for the most part, training, that's the easy part. It's making sure the captain has clear orders from the heart.
Take a moment now to tune in to your heart. And anything that's come up for you in any way, any thoughts that's raced through your mind, just acknowledge it. And let it flow back out. Like clouds passing over. And just watching those clouds drift past with the wind of your breath. We're going to set our intention for the day today. I want you to tune into your heart now and think of anything that needs love, awareness, any attention. And I want you to send it out there now, as though you've got nothing to lose, just asking for a little bit of help, clarity, direction, anything at all. Setting an intention is like the coordinates on a map for the universe. And when you put your intention out to the universe, with absolutely no expectation, with nothing to lose, no judgment whatsoever, like a wish, you're giving it a point to come back to, a place to bring you what it is that your heart desires. So set your intention now and gently open the eyes. So all of you should be feeling a lot calmer, more chilled now. It's amazing what the breath can do for us. It's been your best friend, whether you've acknowledged it or not. It's been sitting there, hanging there with you since the day you were born. And that breath will help you through the most challenging times. All you need to do is learn how to work with it, not against it. Because I guarantee when you're in that emotional state, thoughts are running through your head, you're stuck in your head and you're not in your heart. It's really hard to bring your consciousness to that breath to ask for help, where you let go control and you allow that breath to come and take over. And all you need to do is count to 4, breathing in, find your seat, find your stillness, count to 4, breathing out, and just keep doing that. Just keep doing that. And everything comes good. And it doesn't even have to be when you're upset or anything. If you sit down and have a regular practice of breathing, you can do it while you're driving your car. You can do it while you're hanging out the washing. You can do it while you're washing up the dishes. It's just bringing attention to your breath, noticing how you're breathing. Is it shallow? Is it deep? Is it full? Is it complete? It is your best friend and it will work with you. If you acknowledge it, bring awareness to it and practice. Okay?
Alrighty, so everything I planned to say has just been left in my head, so we're just going to start, see how we go. Okay, so for those of you that haven't got to know myself much since you guys have started or since you've met me, I'll just give you kind of the brief background. So grew up on the Gold Coast, born and raised. I got an American dad, Australian mum from Geelong, dad's from Tennessee. I was raised in a beautiful family, very loving, very hardworking. And growing up through school, I was very confused. Very, very confused about what I was going to do, where my life was headed. Next minute, I'm going to be a marine biologist, and then a skydiving instructor, and then army, and then it was chiropractor, and then all these different things, right? And I had no clarity on where my life was supposed to lead. Went through school, I'm not saying I didn't have friends, I just didn't have a group, if you know what I mean. I kind of bounced between, I was almost like via association, I had friends. But one thing I did have was gymnastics. And I started gymnastics when I was about 8. And it was my kind of place. I had home, I had my job, and I had gymnastics. It was my third place that I spent most of my time. And because I didn't have that sort of social interaction, no idea how to talk to girls, I just sunk myself into gymnastics because it was something that I could focus on, that I had control over, and that I was kind of good at. And so, I was going to be an Olympian, in my head. I wanted to be Commonwealth Games, Olympian, represent Australia. And after I got back from a trip to the States, I hit my head and broke my ankle on the high bar. And I've got about 9 stitches in the top, about 2 liters of blood. gone. We threw out a lot of foam cubes. And I ended up kind of dusting my ankle and just sent it full of fractures and bone chips, and it was lovely. So I spent 5 months in a boot, and they said, don't expect to get dorsiflexion. You're not going to be able to impact it anymore. Basically, your gymnastics career is over. And I was just crushed, absolutely crushed. That's all I knew. That's all I wanted to do. And I had to face reality that that wasn't going to be my path anymore. And it was hard because, you know, a lot of us have these master plans of how we're going to lead our life. You know, some of us have it from start to finish mapped out. But as many of you know, and especially those of you that have joined this program, the master plan, throw it. It never really comes to fruition because you're forced to change, plant, and pivot all the time because we can control how we respond, how we react, and how we behave in any scenario. But one thing we can't control is what happens out there. You know, sometimes shit happens, you know. But it's how we choose to respond and react to those scenarios that we do have control over. And I didn't respond in a positive way to my incident. Started drinking more, started getting a bit recreational with drugs. and I started, you know, kind of finding satisfaction in dating various women and things like that, trying to find an external pleasure to solve my internal problem. And that was about 3-4 years of just straight up confusion. And it all boiled down to 2015, where I had a culmination of things going on. A lot of moving pieces, a lot of spinning plates. The basics, the short story was I was going through a rough relationship. My grandfather had just passed away. My dog was in emergency after, I know you've probably seen him wobbling around. He had a series of seizures after getting poisoned. I was in exams for my diploma. I was cutting weight for a competition, and Jon Snow just got stabbed. Yeah. It was, spoiler alert, sorry. It was a tricky time. And I ended up finding out some news in my relationship that kind of really took me by surprise, and I ended up having a panic attack. And I'm Mr. got his shit together, you know, always wearing a mask. That, you know, I was the guy that always had the answers and always had the plan. And the same night I had my panic attack, I got in my car and I was determined that I was going to drive it into a tree as fast as I could. And I'm very, very lucky that the second I hit speed, who knows the Sovereign Mile from Sovereign Island?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I maxed out about 160 along there, and I'm very fortunate that I took my foot off the pedal very quick. It wasn't like a last minute kind of thing, because the second I kind of hit that speed and I saw all the lights and everything moving very quickly, a thought came into my head that before I knock on that door, I need to leave some form of lasting impact in this world. You know, how selfish would that be of me to leave my family, to leave my friends? You know, my girlfriend would have had to live with that. You know, something had to change. The next day I met Karen at the gym, and my world changed. An amazing journey of self-discovery, learning about, you know, the trials, the tribulations, the triumphs that come with the hero's journey. Some of you may have been a part of our hero's journey workshops. And along that journey, there are various stages that take you up, that drop you down, that kick you while you're down, but then they'll throw you back up. And getting to know myself in that period was remarkable. It was amazing. You know, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that experience. I can look back and comfortably say that I wouldn't change a single thing about any of it. I'm grateful for everything, because I wouldn't have the perspective that I have today. I wouldn't have all of you in my life today if it wasn't for that journey. So one of the first things we need to do when it comes to finding motivation and setting our goals is we need to plant our feet where we are right now and go, you know what? Let's look at the past. We can't change it. We can't wish that it would be different. You know, it's very natural to go, what if? Fact of the matter is, it happened. Shit happens. But we have an opportunity, we have a responsibility to take ownership of what's happened and go, okay, what does my life stand for now? Where are we heading to now? So you can plan afoot and pivot and look at your options. Where do I want to take my life? Because ultimately that's your choice and that's your responsibility. Now, right early in the piece when I started Zone, I was very fortunate to come across a gentleman who inquired about Zone, basically just as we started. I think we had 3 people in the program. And this gentleman inquired, and it became very quickly, I guess to me, I understood very quickly that he wasn't someone that was going to fit in the big group, but I knew there was some, kind of private training programs we could put together. But I was really taken by his attitude. It was very positive, but it was not focused. The good intentions were there, but the direction was all over the shop. Now, who can agree, or who resonates with, having the motivation, having the drive, but just not knowing where to place the pin on the map? Every day, I look at that map and I go, it changes. The plane, when it takes off to its destination, is changing course. It's course correcting 24/7. Okay, that's life. Now, this gentleman sat down with me, and I have asked his permission to tell the story, but he wishes to have his identity concealed because he understands that this, can be filmed. But he worked with me for a week, gave him his program. Things were awesome. He ended up moving down to Melbourne, and he's doing well. He's doing his thing. So let's call him Greg. So Greg comes in. He sounds like Richard Quest. Does anyone watch CNN? British presenter, glasses, big teeth. He's like, oh yes, very British, So I'm not going to do the accent, but you can imagine the enthusiasm that comes with that, right? Yeah. So this gentleman comes in, and I started asking him. We're going through a transformation session. All of you can recall the transformation session. It was very different back then than what it is today. But he boiled down to, he hadn't been healthy in a very long time, about 20 years. He has a family now. He has 3 young kids. He's got a wife. He's got a great job, bringing him great income. But his fitness was lacking. And he came in and he goes, I'm 30% body fat. I want to get to 10% body fat. I'm like, that's an awesome goal. Great goal. Takes a lot of work. Great goal. Awesome. So I asked him, I said, why is that important? And he said, I've been training for 2 weeks and I'm just so excited. I love it. I feel amazing. Colors are brighter. Things are great. I just want to get to that 10% body fat. I was like, oh, that's really cool. I love that. Why? I just told you. I'm loving fitness. It's exciting. I just don't know what to do. I just don't know what exercises to do. I want to know what reps I need to do. I want to know what sets I need to do. I just want a program so I can go and do it. Awesome, Greg. That's amazing. I love that. I love that you're so focused on that. We can certainly provide that for you. But why is it important? And just silence. It's just like, he was just confused by the whole exchange. So I kept asking him, why? Why? Same answer. Why? Same answer. And I said to him, I said, Greg, I need to be motivated to train you. If I'm not motivated to train you, I'm not going to train you. There's got to be some substance to your goal. So if you don't put something with meaning that's worthwhile on this piece of paper, we're done. Okay? There's a better trainer out there for you. So I put the piece of paper down, went to that office, went to open the door, and he goes, Brandon, you said when I was 12, my dad died. He smoked, he drank, he lived on mince pies. The time with him was meaningful, but I have hated him ever since because he has not been there for me. I needed a dad growing up. I didn't have him. My grandkids, my kids don't have a granddad. My wife never got to meet him. I hate him for doing that to me. He said, I've got 3 young kids now. Every time. All of them are unhealthy. My wife, she's unhealthy. I'm leading down the same path. I feel terrible. I'm not healthy. I feel guilt that I'm representing this for my kids and saying that this is a way that's okay to live. I'm here because I want to be a good role model for my kids. And so I'm sitting there like goosebumped up and I'm like, be cool. Like, trying not to tear up. And I turned around, and I'm not going to use the exact words, but I said, "How flippin' motivated are you to exercise now?" And he goes, "Pumped, absolutely pumped." Now guys, the moral of this story about Greg is his goal to get to 10% body fat. There's no substance to it. That's the physical. That's the easy part. 10% body fat, it can be done. Follow the program. We've done it for 50 people this year. Okay? That's the easy part. But he was not connecting this and this to his body. He wasn't clear on why it was important to him. Yeah, he initially got that kind of urge and that, that desire to do something about it, but he wasn't clear on why it was important to him. So what we did is we took that essence, that being that role model, changing the life of his family. We put that sucker right in front of him. That consciousness. We call it essence. So that when you're waking up at 4:30 in the morning, you're exhausted, work is beating you down, your family's demanding so much from you, do you think getting to 10% body fat is going to get you out of bed? Do you think it's going to make you suit up, dress up, and get going? Not as powerful as being the best role model for your kids and for your family. We got to get clear on what that essence is. And for those of you that have done a transformation session with me, some of you may have that right in front of you. And guess what? It changes. It changes all the time. Sometimes we drop the ball and we got to pick it back up, and then it's slippery. But it's important every now and then just to do a checkup from the neck up and just go, what are my goals? Why is it important to us? It starts here, guys. The captain's in your head. The vessel is the body. The engine is the heart. An army general doesn't run into battle with his troops without knowing the actual meaning behind that maneuver. Gallipoli, they didn't run out into no man's land with no objective. They knew that they needed to take that next trench, and make their way up to Constantinople to seize what is Istanbul now. That was their mission. That's what they needed to do. The only way that the troops could have faith in their general's commands is to know the objective. If your captain doesn't know why the goal is important, the body is not going to respond. The actions are not going to follow in any meaningful way. There has to be purposeful intent behind every action, and the best way we can do that is give the vessel clean, distinct orders. That's when you build morale. Mind, body, spirit. Now, the reason we're talking about this is many of you put down motivation as one of the concerns when it came to transformation and making meaningful change in your lives. Can you see how grabbing that essence and putting that right to the front of your consciousness might change your thoughts, feelings, behaviors, actions, responses, reactions? So I know that my essence for me, in the early days, was very dirty. The orders were very unclear. I felt like my family, my brother, my sister, my mum, my dad, my granddad, I thought they set the bar so high, and I thought there was no way I could achieve what they were achieving. I thought it wasn't possible for me. But through time, I got a bit more clarity. I had to dig deep and find out that my true essence is to leave a lasting impact in this world. It's the first thing that came to my mind when I was white-knuckling that steering wheel. So with that purposeful intent and putting that essence right to the forefront of my consciousness, the actions followed. Okay, step by step. They started small. It was almost a crawl. But over time, that stride got stronger. It turned into a run. It turned into a sprint. It just got more and more fortitude as we continued. The essence got clearer. The actions became way more specific, and the results followed. It takes imperfect action, guys. It takes just starting. Okay? And as some of you know, when we talk about your going from your sad place to your happy place, your sad island to your happy island, you got to get on that raft and you have to paddle. And that happy island, it's a speck on the horizon. But over time, that speck becomes a dot. Then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. But on that journey, you can guarantee there's going to be sharks, there's going to be rocks, there's going to be gale force winds, and there's going to be tidal waves. They're going to be there. They are determined to knock you off that raft and take you back to your old life, the way you used to act, feel, behave. But it comes down to keeping your focus dead center on that island and knowing how important it is to you. That'll determine how you navigate the rocks, sail through the winds, paddle over the tidal waves, and fight the sharks. You know, we say in Zone that if you're going to fall from the failure tree, smack every branch on the way down. You're going to learn very quickly. Failure is okay. That's why we have a tribe, so that we can pull each other up, dust each other off, and get back to work. You guys are no longer alone. You have a man to your left, a woman to your right, on their raft, paddling right next to you, all determined to get to your own happy islands.